Hey everyone, it's Angie Spice, and welcome back to another episode, or a continuation, I should say, of Creating Courier. This is episode 3, I think. Sorry if I'm wrong. Lettering. So we're going to continue from last episode. I did all the basic lettering, put all that down, and now I've actually reduced the size of the text. So I've taken it from 16 points down to 12 because it was a little big, but when you're entering it, it does make it easier. I've also deleted a lot of the text I had. I decided I wanted to keep it simpler than what I had because it was sort of interrupting the pacing. So yeah, here we are. So first off, what I usually do at this stage is that I get rid of the excess stuff on the border, which I don't always do, but let's get rid of that because it is a little distracting when you're refining things. So let's rub that out. It'll get cut off anyway, but it's nice to just have a clean trim. Whoops. Helps you sort of focus a bit. I sign every page, and I get rid of that as well at this stage. My computer's a bit slow right now. Wonder why. So as mentioned last episode, this text on the border is usually ideas for dialogue, but I've done enough editing now to be happy with what I've got. If I ever want to go back on it, I've still got the originals I can look at for reference. That's all that gone. Uh-oh. Here we go again. That's the top bit. So I number each page, so I know where it is, and I don't need to know that anymore because I've named the file the page number. Some instances, yeah, the text has gone into the border of the colour, and I probably rather have that for the trim, so I might just airbrush it. Blend it in. Blend it in. This is a good thing about digital. You can never really make a mistake. I mean, you can, but you'll be stuck forever fixing it. I always wonder how much time an artist spends on doing their, a page or a drawing. I think compared to many, I probably spend less time, but everyone's different. Oh, whoops, that was the wrong tool. Blending in everything. So that's kind of what I do. I may not do it all now in case I run out of time. I'll do some. So at this stage, I do balloons. I add my balloons, and I use different balloons for thought. And I use different balloons for the emotion of the intensity of what someone's, I guess, saying. Nothing's really like all of that is thought there. Maybe I'll start with direct then. I'll just use it. There's so many ways to balloon in Clip Studio. Generally, I just do the free form one. one for the white border. Uh-oh. There we go. Can I help you, miss? I've kind of learned to take a bit more time doing the lettering and get it a bit nicer. So there I've just made an outline. I've sort of learned to leave plenty of space. I know manga's different because they like a lot of space around the speech, but in Western comics you find they hardly leave any space at all to read. But I think the benefit is that if you leave a lot of space around the text, it does make it a lot easier on your eyes to read. But if you've got lots of text that's got not much room in the balloon, it makes it a bit more awkward to read personally, but I guess it's what you're used to. I can edit these balloons. Let's go back to this top one. Can I help you? So yeah, that's kind of what Western style is. That I won't do that. Sometimes I do sort of take it down a bit so I can save a bit more space around. But in general, I do have to learn how to give a bit more space in my panels, I think. This area is off limits. Or perhaps you're looking for a dance. Whoops. Or perhaps you're looking for a dance. So let's zoom this out so I can see the whole panel. So I've got quite a long panel. And if I wanted to, I could incorporate more text, but I think it'll just be a bit much if it was just standing there saying all that stuff. Maybe I'll have this down here to make it a bit of an awkward silence there. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Edit, undo. Ah! Nope, that went way too far down. Put it there. So this is the left-hand side of the comic page. You can kind of tell because like that's joining up to the next page, and this is where I'll trim it. So what you've got to sort of keep in mind for the printers is that the top, the side there, and the bottom are all going to get trimmed because the printer prints out your comic, especially if it's like an unorthodox size, like a comic is. They need to trim it down to size, like from an A3 leaf of paper. So what you've got to keep in mind is keeping your text far away from the trim. So you usually leave a few millimeters edge for the give or take of the trim. That's the bleed line of the printers, for the printers. But you keep your text like even further in from that. So you should probably keep it in, I don't know, at least 20 millimeters from the edge of where you're going to cut it. Otherwise, you find some people that are just starting to do comics get their words cut off. Yeah, but you know, everything here is pretty close in. It's like, see this first panel here. I feel so good. This first panel here, I wouldn't want to put it there because it'll get cut in half. So I may have it there, or I may end up having it there. Let's go back to dark. Perhaps, whoops, grab the background, whoops. Edit. Okay, it's gone back. Let's just quickly. Perhaps you're looking for a dance. Where's that one? That one's there. Can I help you? So that's a first. I might even take that down there. I just had them off his jacket before because they were black and they would have disappeared on his jacket and I wouldn't have been able to find them. So this area is off limits. So I could join that up. I'll just show you. This is a good thing about Clip Studio, is that you can merge the layers and it joins up the text. Layer, merge with layer below. It joins it nicely, and I love that. It just saves so much time. Control. I can make that tighter if I want to. And usually I play around a lot more with like the spacing in it, and I can just add a little tail. It's nicer. Or I might just separate them if I want it to be a more elongated structure. Because that suggests that he's asking those two things close together, and then there's a pause, and then he says, or perhaps you're looking for a dance. So with panels like this, where I have text that are close to, say, like a cut-off panel, like a square, I tend to create a speech bubble. I'll just use a default one. Come here. Oops, I missed it. Oh, there we go. These are handy because they're already really nicely done, and they look good, and they already make the typical manga speech bubble like that. But even though I'm not really using that here, I can do that. Move the text back in. And then I can create a panel border. So for these kinds of smaller panels, create a panel on the computer that it recognizes, and then I can chuck that speech bubble within it, which is so cool. And then I can select that and move it into place. And then I can try the thought balloon tail, which usually doesn't really work for me, but we'll see. Da-da-da! It's pretty cool. Oh, that's alright. Yes, that's kind of the next stage of lettering. Yeah. I sort of continue to play around with the spacing, usually for quite a while, until I'm happy with it, and then I'll add like the tails when I'm happy with the position. And even at this stage, I may edit some of the lettering, especially after I show it to other people and they've got better words they can put in. But generally, I like to know the length of the phrases they're going to say, because I'm sort of creating the spatial awareness here, and I don't really want to have to do too much work after that. Yeah. Anyway, there's another episode for you, and thanks for watching. See you next time.